Hi, everybody. Professor Demito here, and I hope you're enjoying your summer. So far, my little kitty is in the background, so if you hear that, sorry about that. But yes, I made a recording for you, and it did not record, so I'm going to do it over again. So that's fine. Perhaps there was something missing that needed to be on there. So here we are about to start week 3 of Advanced Pathophysiology 2. And here we are. We can go on this one. Yes, my computer, I don't know if all of a sudden it just turned off. Oh, I need 674. Okay, here we go. So we are about to start week 3. So let's look what's on board. I am very pleased with the way everything is progressing. And you know, the first couple of weeks, especially since we had new students come on board, it takes a little while to get used to the flow and interacting with new members of the team. And just like when you're orienting a new person, it takes a little while. Now I should expect that you should be moving more towards a finely tuned machine, getting there. And it's really nice when cohorts go from cohorts to cohorts because it's kind of nice. Nobody knows what you're going through like one of your peers, right? Because you're all working, taking care of families, many of you are, and trying to perform well at school. And believe me, it's just going to continue until you're done. So nobody knows how you are feeling better than another member in your group. Now, I want you to continue to move forward, writing your notes in a SOAP note format. And I'm pretty much a stickler for that, and I'll tell you why. It's important to develop a technique of writing your notes, and then you follow that technique all the way through, not just through school, but through your career. Whether you're taking care of someone with an infected toe, or you're taking care of someone with hypertension or strep throat, you must always document the same components in your note for a couple of reasons. First of all, it helps you. A complete history is the most important piece of formulating your differential diagnoses. Secondly, you need to have certain pieces of the documentation with every patient in order to code and bill appropriately. So if you don't have a CC or an HPI or a review of systems in your documentation, the insurance company is not going to reimburse you for the services that you've provided. So there are certain rules that you must follow when you are charting. And as you move forward in the class or in the program, you'll learn more and more about that. It's quite important. Okay. Thirdly, consistent documentation is going to help you down the road in the event any of your cases go to litigation. Lawyers love it when you always chart the same thing. And I always do. With all of my patients, I always document the same way. And I make variances for the conditions that they're there for, the duration and all of that stuff. So, you know, there are variances in there. But typically my charts are always the same way. And one of the jobs I used to have was a nursing director, and much of my time was spent working with attorneys in lawsuits. And I found it fascinating, actually. I found that attorneys loved standardized documentation. It's so much more defendable. When you are charting, you want to document exactly what needs to be written, but not anymore, because the plaintiff's attorneys will take every word that you have written and construe it into a different meaning. So you need to document enough so that you have a clear picture And that's how I like to think of documentation. You're drawing a picture of the condition and what the patient's telling you. You're telling a story, but you are not adding any more information to the document than needs to be said. So one of the things, that being said, when you get into the workforce, attorneys will often recommend that if you are using an electronic medical record with a template, that you follow that template and to document annotations as minimally as possible. Now, certain things, if you're documenting a rash or a wound, super important. Measure it. Try to be as clear and succinct in your detailing as you can. But otherwise, it's best to just use the little click boxes on your electronic medical record. So that's one of the reasons that I work so hard to get you familiar with documentation in this coursework, because of the importance of utilizing it down the road when you are not only in clinicals, but when you're practicing also. Okay, so let's take a look at this week. And this is the same as every other week. You have your case that opened this morning, and you're going to do the same thing. Group members work collaboratively to create a list of subjective and objective information relevant to their differential diagnoses. You've done a good job. Now remember, I want you to formulate this as I recommended in your last your last notes. I strongly encourage you to use Google Docs. You can get me at adwaldron36@gmail.com or professorapril@gmail.com. Both of those are my Gmail addresses that I utilize, and some of you have been wonderful and you found me, and it's been great. I enjoy working with you in that method, so make sure that that's done. If there are any issues, drawers aren't opening, you need to notify me immediately so that I can let those in Power know that. Fortunately, one of your classmates notified me that the drawers were all open last week, so I contacted the person in charge of the drawers and notified her of that, because that's not conducive to learning if you know ahead of time. And that's what this is all about. You're about to become nurse practitioners with an awesome responsibility. Patients are trusting you to take care of them and their parents and their children, and you need to have every opportunity to learn along the way so that you have the level of ability to perform in a credible manner. So move forward as you have. Now, you have new leaders this week, Canvas assigned leaders. Now, it's the responsibility of the leader to work with the group to determine how you want to do this week's assignment. I have found that some leaders have elected to make assignments to team members, and that's good if you choose that. If it works well for you, that's fine. But make sure that those assignments come back to the group so that they can be reviewed. The leader is going to submit a single document, and it's important that all of you have had input on the entire document, because it wouldn't be fair if someone submitted something and a member of the group didn't feel comfortable with that, wasn't happy with it. So all members of the group must be happy with the submission of the final document in order for a group project to work well. If you have any issues, please contact me. I understand that group dynamics are an interesting psychology. However, you must learn to work well together in all aspects of your career with peers, peers, physicians, collaborators, patients, and I think that you've done well up to this point. So let's continue. I'm in the process of developing the study guide for your midterm exam. I do have one already made. However, I went over the exam last week and found that there are some caveats to this exam. Excuse me. So I want the presentation I developed to incorporate those caveats so that you can have a greater understanding of the concepts that you need to embrace to do well on this exam. And remember, when I do these reviews, it isn't exclusive to the content of the examination that you're going to be taking. I do these reviews like a class. We use a PowerPoint presentation and we go over material. Not only that, I think will help guide you in your study for the examination, but also tips that I think will be important for you as you move forward in your career. So as always, if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me. I am going to Wisconsin this afternoon to visit my daughter, so I'll be up there for the next couple of days. However, I will be available to you. I'll have my phone and I'll have my email, and I will be responding to posts and texts. I'm not taking time off. So I look forward to seeing all of your entries, and good luck with this week's assignment.